Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. Please make sure you're subscribed to the All This Math YouTube channel if you're not already. Also, like the video. Also, drop a comment down in the comment section if you have a comment already, or if you have a question about anything that I attempt to explain in this problem. All right. Also, share the video with some other people. All right. Now, let's read this. Let's read what it says. Now, this is an example of the type of question you might see on the HSPT exam, which is the high school placement test for eighth graders in Catholic or parochial schools. All right. Now let's read it. Now, don't be intimidated. It looks like a lot, right? But it's not that much, right? But just read it one word at a time, one sentence at a time, one clause at a time, right? Try to make sense of it. All right. Before we can do math, we got to have our reading comprehension together. So, in 5 successive hours, first, what does successive mean? It means like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, right? 5 successive hours, not 1 o'clock, then 3 o'clock, then 7 o'clock, then 12 a.m. No, that's not successive. Successive means hours back to back, continuous, consecutive rather. Consecutive is another word for that. In 5 successive hours, a car traveled 40 kilometers, 45 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 35 kilometers, and 55 kilometers. So also keep in mind that the units that are being used are metric units, right? We're not using the British system, not miles, but kilometers, all right? In the next 5 hours, it traveled, the same car, it traveled with an average speed, that's an important term, average speed of 65 kilometers per hour. 65 kilometers per hour. Find the total distance the car traveled in 10 hours. The total distance. Total means add up all the distances, right, that it traveled in each of the 10 hours. So for the first 5 hours, it traveled 40, then 45, then 50, then 35, then 55. So we can easily figure out how far the car traveled in the first 5 hours. The second 5 hours is a little more complex. But let's first deal with finding how far did the car travel in the first 5 hours. Now, the HSPT exam does not allow the use of calculators, so we got to use our brain as a calculator. We got to use mental math tactics or handwritten math. All right. So 40 plus 45, that's going to be 85 because 40 plus 40 is 80 plus the 5 is 85. 85 plus 50 is going to be 135, right? That's going to be 135. Then 135 plus 35 is 170 because 35 plus 35 is 70. So that's 170. 170 plus 55 is going to be 225. So that's a total of 225 kilometers. So we're going to say first 5 hours, 225 kilometers traveled. And all we did was we used addition. The first hour, 40 kilometers. Second kilometer, 45 kilometers. Second hour, 45 kilometers, right? 85 and then 50. 80 plus 50 will be 130. So that's 135 plus 35 is 170. 170 and let me see, 30 would be 200, 225. Yeah, 225 kilometers in the first 5 hours. Now, the next 5 hours, right? Now, this requires us understanding the concept of average speed or average anything. All right. So in the next 5 hours, it traveled with an average speed of 65 kilometers per hour. So what does that mean? Think about it like this. We don't know the total amount of distance that was traveled, at least not initially. We don't know the total amount of distance that was traveled, but we do know that if you take the total distance and divide it up into 5 equal parts, or 5 hours, that will give you the average speed, right? Total distance divided by time will give you the speed, right? D divided by T equals R. All right. So the total distance, whatever the total distance is, we don't know the total distance, right? Not yet. But if you take the total distance and divide it up into 5 equal parts, what that would give you is the 65 kilometers per hour. All right. Now, that doesn't mean that they actually drove 65 kilometers per hour for each of those 5 hours. but that's the average. That's what happens. That's what you get if you were to take the total distance and divide it up into equal parts. That's what the average speed would be. Average speed deals with equal parts. All right. Now, because we want the total distance, if we would take the total distance and divide by 5 to get 65, right? So we got 65 equal parts, right? So let's say, let's do it like this. Let's draw a diagram. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, hour 4, hour 5. So equal 5 equal parts. 65 first hour, 65 second hour, 65 third hour, 65 fourth hour, 65 fifth hour. 5 equal parts, right? Now, what might have actually happened is for one of these hours, they might have went 70 miles in the first hour, and then maybe only went 60 miles in the second hour. But our goal is to have equal breaking the total distance up into equal parts, right? Now, if they're equal parts of 65 and there are 5 of them, we can figure out the total distance now by just doing 65 times 5 or just adding up all these 65s, right? Either 65 plus 65 plus 65 plus 65 plus 65, or use multiplication because multiplication is repeated addition. It's like a shortcut. So 65 times 5 is going to give us our total distance for the second 5 hours. For the next 5 hours. That's what it's going to do. Now, 65 times 5. What I would do is this. Decompose 65 into 60 and 5. Do 60 times 5, which would be 300, plus 5 times 5, which would be 25. 300 plus 25, 325 kilometers. 325 kilometers. So in the second 5 hours, that car drove 325 kilometers. And how do we know that? Because there was an average speed of 65 kilometers per hour, which means that the total distance, whatever it was, divided up into 5 equal parts because it's 5 hours. So each hour is a part, is one of the parts, would be 65 kilometers per hour. 65 kilometers in the first hour, 65 kilometers in the second hour, 65 kilometers in the third hour, fourth hour, fifth hour. Now, that's just an average. That's an estimation, basically, right? An approximation. It doesn't mean that they actually drove 65 in the first hour, second, third, fourth, and fifth. It just means that if you were, and I keep emphasizing this because this is an important concept. If you were to drive an equal amount of time or equal amount of distance in each of those 5 hours, then you would have driven 65 miles, 65 kilometers. I'm so used to the British system. 65 kilometers, right? 65 kilometers. Now, but what that does is that enables us to find the total distance, which is what we need because the question is asking for the total distance, right? Total distance. So we got 65, 65, 65, 65, 65. If we do multiplication, which is a shortcut, 65 times 5 is 300 plus 25. Remember, no calculators allowed on this exam, the HSPT. So we got to know how to do mental math or handwritten math. Break the 65 down into 60 and 5. 60 times 5 is 300. This is the distributive property, by the way. And then 5 times 5 is 25. Add those two products together, you get 325 kilometers. So 325 kilometers in the next 5 hours. kilometers. So if in the first 5 hours they traveled 225 kilometers, we know that because we just added up these 5 distances. We just added them up. You get 225. Then 225 plus 325. Put them together. What do you get? 225 plus 325 is going to be 550. 550 kilometers. That's the total distance traveled in that 10 hours. All right. But the major takeaway, I think, is understanding how to take average speed and use that to find the total distance. Right. Basically, we're just using the formula for average and reversing it or flipping it, working backwards. All right. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Drop a comment down below. If there's anything that I attempted to explain that you don't fully understand, please put your question in the comments also. and share this video with somebody. I'll see y'all later.